magnitude of negative 1.47. Of course, Sirius is very interesting, especially when you start studying the elite and you start studying the secret societies and various tribes and religions. You'll find it. Almost everything revolves around the Sirius star system, and that's one of the main things that you start finding out is that what we are told oftentimes is sun worship, and what you see as you depicted as sun worship in Egypt and the rest of the stuff is not that bright star that you think is the sun. That's, of course, what these gatekeepers and whatnot want you to think. They don't want you to know that everything revolves around Sirius. Of course, if you look in like the Quran, it talks in the Quran about how Allah came from Sirius. I mean, goodness gracious, I found that out just a couple of weeks ago, and that was mind-blowing to know that, to see all this, everything that revolves around that. So let's talk about that here. It is located in the constellation Canis Major. Sirius can be seen from almost every inhabited region of the Earth's surface. Those living north 73.284 degrees cannot see it, and in the northern hemisphere, it is known as a vertex of the winter triangle. The best time of the year to view it is around January 1st when it reaches the meridian at midnight, and under the right conditions, Sirius can be observed in daylight with a naked eye. Ideally, the sky must be very clear with the observer at a high altitude, the star passing overhead and the sun low down on the horizon. The name Sirius comes from the Latin Sirius. It is situated in the eye of the greater dog Canis Major. Therefore, it is known as the dog star. It's also known as the transition stage, the moving of consciousness from one reality or frequency to another, the spirit of wisdom in Zoroastrian teachings, and the bright radiating one. What to the eye appears to be a single star is actually a large binary star system consisting of a bright white main sequence of a star of the spectral type AV1 named Sirius A and the faint white dwarf companion of a spectral type DA named Sirius B. Sirius B is invisible to the naked eye. It packs almost the entire mass of our sun into a globe only 4 times as large as the Earth. It's an incredible mass. Sirius B's surface is 300 times harder than diamonds, while its interior has a density of 3,000 times that of diamonds, spinning on its axis about 23 times a minute. It generates huge magnetic fields around it. And that's interesting. We've talked about this lately with these different magnetic fields and electromagnetic energy and how through the manipulation of electromagnetic energy and fields, one has the ability to manipulate reality. Now, if you go look into the work of people like Dr. Nick Begich, who has done work on in research in the HARP facility, I mean, he's found that amazing things can be done to the human brain by the manipulation of electromagnetic frequency waves. And certainly we know that the HARP facility would be capable of doing that. But, one of the things that I've noticed, and one of the things in my research I find interesting is when I was researching the film, The Secret Right, I was doing research. Speaking of HARP, I was doing research, and I found out that Dr. Edward Teller, who was the father of the hydrogen bomb, was a Council for National Policy member. And what's interesting about that is Dr. Edward Teller also was working on the Strategic Defense Initiative, Star Wars, space-based weapons under Reagan. He was also a member of Majestic 12. And when Bernard Eastland gave the patent to Arco Oil for the HARP facility in Gakona, Alaska, he went up there on behalf of the Department of Defense to find out what the military applications for HARP would be. So I find that very interesting. But and we'll get into that. We'll get into some of that in just a bit as far as the electromagnetic relationship. The 2-star Sirius A and Sirius B move around each other constantly, exchanging particles. Because of its greater density and magnetic field, Sirius B takes the lion's share, taking gases and materials of its larger host body. Sirius B has a super heavy, gravitationally powerful star made of concentrated super dense matter with a number of 50 associated with it, describing its orbital period. Every 49.9 years, Sirius A and B come as close together as their orbits allow, creating huge magnetic storms between them. As they approach each other, stars both begin to spin faster as tidal forces become stronger, finally flip-flopping over and actually trading places with each other. This energy is eventually released to flow on magnetic field lines to the sun, which transmits it like a lens to all the planets. Now, last year, they came out with this, Microsoft came out with this new software. I remember they were announcing it was coming out. It was going to be free to download. It was called Microsoft Worldwide Telescope. And I remember when I heard, was hearing about this come out, I was going, oh, wow, great. This is awesome. I look forward to this coming out. I can't wait to get this because, I want to go look at the Sirius star system. You'll be able to go out and look at planets and stars and, wow, awesome. So then I saw the news story and it came out and I went and downloaded the program. I was all excited and, oh, it's cool. It's almost like Google Universe, So I go and there I go and I look. And lo and behold, you've noticed that on Google Earth that some things are blurred out and you're not allowed to see some things. Well, what I found was interesting is when I went to look at Sirius, the Sirius star system on Microsoft's Worldwide Telescope program, lo and behold, there it is conveniently blurred out, ladies and gentlemen, where you cannot see the Sirius star system on Microsoft's Worldwide Telescope. Isn't that wonderful? Wow. So the most important star system in everything that we find, from secret societies to the elite to the priest class, on and on and on, and conveniently, you're not allowed to see it. Well, doesn't that just bid well for these people? Based on changes in its proper motion in 1844, Frederick Wilhelm Bessel deducted that Sirius had a hidden companion. In 1862, Alvin Graham Clark discovered the companion, which is called Sirius B, or affectionately the pup. Oh, that's cute, isn't it? The pup. The dog star. Oh. The visible star is now sometimes known as Sirius A. The two stars orbit each other with a separation of about 20 AU over a period of close to 50 years. In 1909, Inhar Hertzsprung suggested that Sirius was a member of the Ursa Major moving group based on the system's movements across the sky. However, more recent research by Jeremy King at the Clemson University in 2003 questions whether that is true, since the two components of Sirius appear to be too young. Sirius is roughly half the age of the other members of the stream, so their common motion is likely a coincidence. In 1915, astronomers at the Mount Wilson Observatory determined that Sirius B was a white dwarf star, the first to be discovered. This means that Sirius B must have originally been by far the more massive of the two, since it had already evolved off the main sequence. In 1920, the first spectrum of Sirius B was obtained at Mount Wilson Observatory. Sirius B, although small and faint and about 10,000 times the dimmer than Sirius A, is extremely dense and heavy enough to exert influence on Sirius A. The pull of its gravity caused Sirius's wavy movement. And so it's interesting. You see some of these pictures, but curiously, some ancient observations of Sirius describe it as a red star. To the Romans, this meant an angry god, and they are known to have sacrificed red dogs to this star. Today, Sirius A is a bluish white. The possibility that stellar evolution of either Sirius A or Sirius B could be responsible for this discrepancy is rejected by astronomers on the grounds that the time scale of thousands of years is too short, and there is no sign of its nebulosity in the system that would be expected had such a change taken place. Alternative explanations are either that the description of red is a poetic metaphor for ill fortune, or that the dramatic scintillations of the star when it was observed rising left of the viewer with the impression it was red. Well, see, a lot of people believe that it's actually a tri system, and that there actually are three stars, and that one of them is a red dwarf. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's what's been theorized. To the naked eye, it often appears to be flashing with red, white, and blue hues when near the horizon. Sirius is the standard star for the color white in ancient China. Multiple records from the 2nd century BC up to the 7th century AD all describe Sirius as white in hue. In the Sumerian civilization, predating the Egyptians, their epic poem, the Epic of Gilgamesh, describes